Welcome to the Python programming video course. In this movie, we are going to learn how we can configure Eclipse to work on with the Python. Now, it is not at all a compulsion that you are always going to require Eclipse to code on with Python. You can simply use any Notepad or Notepad++ with a .py extension with your file and can run it with a command line. But it's fairly a time-taking process by modifying a simple script and then running it again when we have got IDE in our hand. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, and it gives you a fairly easy access for the teaching purposes and coding purposes as well. Working with Eclipse is fairly a charm, and it's highly recommended in the industries as well. So let's check it out how we can do that. For this, you are going to need to visit this URL eclipse.org/downloads, and it is going to automatically detect that you are onto the Windows system. If not, make sure that you are onto a right system in this dropdown, and in that you just need this first Eclipse, that is standard Eclipse. These guys keep on changing the versions. They work quite a lot on their systems, and any version which is a standard is going to work for us, whether it's 4.4, 4.6, or maybe others as well. Just download the appropriate version for your Windows machine, like it may be 32-bit or 64-bit as well. Once you have just got the Eclipse, the next thing that we are going to require is the PyDev, and you just have to visit this URL pydev.org/downloads. I'll leave that to you to just read this page, and I'm going to just show you what things you need to do practically on this system. Just for the reference, this page is just being shown for the reference. You can visit it. I'm going to close this. I've already downloaded my Eclipse, which comes in this standard zip file. You can extract it with any simple zip utility or just by double clicking on it. Here is it. Here is the folder which you're going to get. Here it is, my eclipse.exe, from which I can run my Eclipse, but I'm going to send it to my desktop for the easy access. And once it is on my desktop, I'm going to rename it as Eclipse. Before moving further, I would like to create one more folder that is going to say PyFiles 2, because we are using the Python version 2 here. And after that, I'm going to just double click on this Eclipse and going to run it. So that's it. That's the simple installation of the Eclipse on your system. Let's just wait for a couple of seconds. And the Eclipse is going to ask you for the workspace. Now, what is this workspace? Workspace is a simple folder where you want to keep all of your files. So in this case, I want to keep all of my files into this PyFiles 2. So I'm going to select that and click OK. And click OK again. But before that, I would like to check mark this one so that it don't ask me again and again for the workspace. And OK. Now Eclipse is being up and running. I'm going to maximize it and close this welcome screen. Now, right now the Eclipse is not yet configured to work on with the Python files. It is being configured to work on with the Java files. At the top right corner, you can see it says Java. But how you can verify it much further, just click on the Windows, go on the Preferences, and the link which I have just shown you is the PyDev, which is going to configure your Eclipse to work on with the Python, and we are not able to see that in our preferences. So I'm going to close this one, click on the help menu, and I'm going to install a new software for it. And first of all, I'm going to add a software site for the preferences, and I'll just click on this add button. The name is going to be PyDev, and the link that we require is pydev.org/updates, and you can see this link in the documentation page that I have just shown you. Click on the OK, again click on the OK, and now you can simply type on the PyDev, and it's not yet showing because it needs a refresh. I'm going to add it from here now, and I'm going to just say the location is going to be http and pydev.org/updates, and I'm going to name it as PyDev, and I'm going to click on OK. Now it's showing me pending because it's verifying whether the PyDave is available or not, and in a moment it's going to just show me PyDave and Mylin PyDave project. Now here it is, it says Pydin and Mylin PyDave integration. Now we don't require the Mylin integration yet into our system. I'm just going to say the PyDave. Now a quick tip here before moving forward. You should have the Python installed onto your system. It can be Python 2, 3 or anything, but for our video series, I recommend to go for Python 2.x and it should be already installed on your system. Just watch the video step by step and don't skip anything. Just click on the next and it's going to calculate the requirement and dependencies, and it's going to take just a few seconds. Now once you have finished verifying all the dependencies, you can simply click on this next button, accept the license and terms and agreement, and just click on the finish. Now it's going to install the requirement of the softwares for your machine, and this actually doesn't depend how fast it is going to onto your internet speed. The files are fairly small, so it doesn't reach to the peak speed of your internet, and you have to wait for quite a while here. So just wait here and let's see that this bar gets finished off really quick. Once you have installed everything quite properly, you will visit this kind of a pop-up and you have to accept all the certificates in it. This is kind of a requirement to go further, so make sure that you install it and just click on OK. And once after that, Eclipse will ask you to restart the Eclipse. Now there is no good reason to not to do it, so always just click on this as a yes and the Eclipse will start automatically. Let's give it a few seconds to start up, and since we have already configured our workspace as pyfiles2, it's not going to ask me for the workspace again. And we are quite done to use Eclipse, but we are not ready yet. For that, I have to go to Windows and click on the Preferences. Now here you can see I have got this PyDave here, and I have got quite an interpreter being loaded here, and I can just drop down in it, and you can see there is IronPython for the .NET applications or C# applications, JPython for Java integration, and this is for us, the Python interpreter. And you can see there is no interpreter yet being loaded, so I'm going to click on the new and I'm going to choose executable path for my Python. My Python is being installed inside the C drive, and here it is, Python 2.7, and I'm going to just choose python.exe and click on open. I'm going to name my interpreter as Python and I'm going to click on OK. Now I'm going to select all of these libraries and click on OK, and I'm going to click on OK again. So it's going to restart path and it's going to take fairly a simple seconds. Now we have successfully configured all the requirements. Now let's create a new project here so that we can just verify, and I'm going to just call it as a simple project. And now you can see if I drop down it a bit, you can see there is a PyDave integration. Now there is a Django project, there is a Google App Engine project, and there is a PyDave. For this video series, we are looking for this PyDave development project, and I'm going to click on next. Now it says what is your grammar version. First of all, give it your project as name, and I'm going to just name it as module 1, and you can see it automatically gives it a workspace path inside our workspace. You can choose any of the project type. For this I recommend to choose the Python one, and then we have got a grammar 2.7 or anything. Since we are using the Python 2.x, I recommend to use Python 2.7 and not 3.0. So I'm going to choose Python 2.7. Interpreter you can set is at default, and since we don't need to set anything else, I'm just going to click on the next and finish. And now it's saying that you are trying to open and associate a project which is a PyDave project. Do you want to change your perspective? Now perspective is the look and feel of how this Eclipse looks like. Right now the perspective is of Java, so I'm going to select yes, and the perspective is now of PyDave. Now let's quickly create a new file. and I'm going to name this file as hello.py, which stands for Python, and finish, and click on OK, and I'll just say read it. So here is our Python file, and I'm going to just quickly type a couple of things, and we are going to talk about that later. It is /usr bin and Python, and I'm going to just say it as print, and I'm going to say hello world. That's it. I'm going to save it. I'm going to drop down this as, because if I just run it directly, it's going to, there are high chances that it can show me some error. So let me just give it. In this case, it's not prompting me, but I'll tell you otherwise way if you found any error in that. Now hello world is being running. Now what the other way is, just click on this, click on run configuration, choose your Python run, click on this button, and it's going to give you a new module just like that. And inside that you have to choose your project, which is module 1. Okay, click on the browse and click on this hello.py. That's it, and click on OK, and click on run, and that's it. The error will be gone in case you find that error. And optionally, you can also pass on some arguments in your example, and we'll talk about that later. So I'm going to just click on the run. Now, this is all we need to set up to start working on the Python.